Okay, now we continue with chapter 6, the path and the saints. The second part of this chapter. We will learn the path of cultivation from the first fruit, that is the stream enterer, up to the fourth, the perfection, which is an arhat. We will also learn about those noble beings in training and beyond training. And in the end, we will talk about the 37 aids of enlightenment. So first, we already know that, as we talked in the last lecture, the direct realization of the truth, that is the path of vision. So now we continue with the path of cultivation. But we have to say that we really want to emphasize that the direct realization of the truth is undoubtedly amazing, as it marks a start of a marvelous pure journey and all the way towards the highest fruit and the perfected being. In Shravakayana, that highest fruit is arhathood, and that perfected being is called an arhat. And this journey, all the way from the first moment, of the pure factors, up to the moment of obtaining the arhathood, if we it all belongs to the path of cultivation. And once obtaining the fruit of an arhat, that's no longer the path of cultivation. We will call this perfected being a noble being beyond training. And as we already said, it can take this path of cultivation, according to Substivada, it can take place before the path of vision. That means that one can also abandon part of the defilement of the three realms by the mundane impure path. And this path of cultivation could also take place after the path of vision. That means the noble beings, once they have penetrated, and then they can continue this path of cultivation with in presence of the noble, in presence of the pure factors. So it can be pure or impure for this passive cultivation, and because of that, it can be pure or impure. It gives us two possibilities. It gives the practitioners of the Shravaka yana two possibilities. So a practitioner could either jump over some fruits, or they can proceed successively. So what do we mean by saying jumping over fruits? Well, that we mean that such practitioners, they have actually abandoned part of defilements through cultivation before the direct realization, and they did that through mundane path. And they can jump over the fruit of the stream enterer, which is the first fruit. They can also jump over the first and the second fruits. So it means that they can obtain the fruit of non-returner right on the 16th moment. That is for practitioners that jump over fruits. And of course, we have practitioners who proceed successively, which we will talk about that soon. But let's take a look at those practitioners who jump over. And as we said, the reason they can actually jump over fruits is because they have abandoned part of the defilements before they penetrate. So it all depends on how many categories of defilements they have previously abandoned. So if we see this form, if we see this table, if they have not abandoned anything, or if they have abandoned up to the fifth categories of defilements in Kamadhatu, Well, then during the first to the 15th moment, during that path of vision, they are called an approacher of the stream enterer. And at the 16th moment, they will obtain the fruit of a stream enterer. They become a stream enterer. And in this case, they have not jumped over any fruit. They become a stream enterer as they are to be. And during before they penetrate, if they have already abandoned 6th or 7th or 8th categories of defilements in Kamadhatu, and then during the path of vision, they will be called approacher of the once returner. And on the 16th moment, they will jump over the first fruit and become a once returner directly. Or before the penetration, if they have already abandoned the 9th category of defilements in Kamadhatu, up to and including defilements of sphere of nothingness in the formless realm, the one below Bhavagra. And then, in that case, during the path of vision, which corresponds to the 1st to 15th moment of direct realization, they will be called an approacher of the non-returner, and they will obtain the fruit of the non-returner on the 16th moment. So in this case, they have jumped over the first and the second fruits. So that's what we can expect from a noble being if they actually have abandoned part of the defilements of the three realms before penetration. Then they have the possibility to jump over the noble fruits. And another category, of course, another case is for practitioners who proceed successfully, and that means they have not abandoned any defilements before the penetration, before the direct realization of the noble truth. In that case, they will gradually obtain higher and higher fruits all the way up to the fruit of an arhat since the 16th moment. And on 16th moment, of course, they will become a stream enterer. So let's take a look at this illustration. For practitioners of this kind who proceed successfully, they are established as an approacher of the stream enterer from the 1st to the 15th moment during the path of vision. And on the 16th moment, as the 16th moment, which is the subsequent cognition with regards to the past, they will obtain the fruit of the stream enterer. And then, having abandoned the first to up to the 5th categories of defilements of Kamadhatu, they will be called approacher of the once returner. And once they have abandoned the 6th category of defilements of Kamadhatu, they will obtain the fruit of the once returner. And further, if they have abandoned the 7th and 8th categories of defilements in Kamadhatu, they are called approacher of the non-returner. And then later, once they have abandoned the 9th category of defilements of Kamadhatu, they will obtain the fruit of the non-returner. So they become a non-returner, which is the second highest fruit of Shravakayana. And then later, once they have abandoned the 1st category of defilements of the 1st jhana up to the 9th category of defilements of the Bhavagra in the Vajrapama concentration or Vajrapama Samadhi, they are called the approacher of the perfected being. And once they have already abandoned the 9th category of defilements of the Bhavagra, then the cognition of exhaustion will arise. They will obtain the fruit of the perfected being, and they will be called an arhat. So that's the process for practitioners who proceed successfully with the corresponding fruit and the corresponding moments and the corresponding categories of defilements to be abandoned gradually. So next, let's take a closer look on several representative noble beings. We'll take 3. The first one, let's take a look at the stream enterer, who of course, this is a noble being that has proceeded successfully. And next one, we take a closer look to the non-returner, because there are quite many different cases for non-returners. And afterwards, let's take a look at the approacher and the fruit of the perfected being, namely right before becoming an arhat and when becoming an arhat. So let's take a closer look on these three kinds of noble beings. First, the stream enterer. Here it says max 7 rebirths. What does that mean? Well, as we know, there are 9 categories of defilements to be abandoned by the path of cultivation in Kamadhatu. These 9 categories of defilements, they're not equal when it comes to strength or when it comes to their ability or power to nourish rebirth in this realm of desire. For instance, the strong defilement, the strong category of defilement will nourish 2 rebirths, and the strong medium, strong weak, and medium strong, these 3 categories of defilements will each nourish 1 rebirth. And then the medium plus medium weak, these 2 categories of defilement, if grouped, will together nourish 1 rebirth. And the last 3 categories, the weak strong, weak medium, and weak categories of the defilements to be abandoned by the path of cultivation in this realm of desire, these 3 combined will nourish 1 rebirth in Kamadhatu. So because of this, if a noble being has abandoned 3 categories of defilements, namely the strong, the strong medium, and the strong weak, that means they will have 4 rebirths less to be experienced. Then they only need to experience 3 rebirths before they obtain the fruit of arhathood, before they become an arhat, the perfected being. So abandonment of 3 categories will lead to 3 rebirths. And likewise, if he has abandoned 4 categories, so he will experience 5 rebirths less than the noble being who has abandoned none of the categories, which will have at max 7 rebirths. Then in that case, with abandonment of 4 categories of defilements, he will experience 2 rebirths before becoming an arhat. Now let's explain the word rebirth. Rebirth here, we would say that 1 rebirth, it means 1 return of between the human plane and the deva plane. And that is to say, 1 rebirth means 1 life as human plus 1 life as deva. And for example, one becomes a stream enterer in the human plane, then next he will have at max a maximum of 7 rebirths as devas and 7 rebirths as humans in between. And he will enter nirvana in the 7th rebirth when back to human. If he hasn't, that's the maximum. That's the case with the maximum rebirth. Or if he obtains first the fruit of stream enterer as a deva, then he will also at max have 7 humans plus 7 devas, and in the 7th rebirth as a deva, he will enter nirvana. That's what it means by rebirth here. And since we say 7 rebirths at max, at the minimum, well, obviously, at the minimum, a stream enterer can become an arhat, the highest fruit of Shravakayana, at this life, and enter nirvana in this same life after he dies. With these 2 cases which I show here, if this noble being has abandoned 3 or 4 categories, this noble being will be called the approacher of the once returner. And once he has abandoned 6 categories, he will then become a once returner. Next, we have a question. Why max 7 rebirths for stream enterers and not reborn and one more time, not reborn an 8th time? Well, the reason is within this time limit of max 7 rebirths, the stream of nirvana or of the path shall mature. So this is the nature and intrinsic power of the path. He will not exceed 7 rebirths. He will complete all required for him for the perfection within 7 rebirths. He does not need a rebirth more. It is not necessary. That's the power of the path. It is very similar to the case in the 7-step snakes or the 4-day fever. Well, as it says that if one is bitten by a 7-step snake, he might be okay in the first day. He might still be okay the next day. He might even still be okay in the 6th day. However, at the max, sorry, it's not about the days. The 7-step snake, it means if one is bitten by a snake, he can walk maximum 7 steps before the poison of that snake takes effect, and he will have disease. He will be sick within 7 steps. So even the first step is okay, the second step is okay, but at maximum, when he walks the 7th step, he will be sick. So this is one simile. And another example, which is quite similar to what we talk about, the 7 rebirths here, would be the 4-day fever. So they say that there is this kind of fever. If you got the disease, if you got the virus for that kind of fever, you might be okay in the first day. You might still be okay the second day, and even nobody can see that you are anything different in the 3rd day. However, at max, during the 4th day, you will be sick, and the fever will take the power. The fever will occur, and you will have the heat and so on. So then, as we already know that here, the 9 categories, because they have weak to strong defilements, and we also have weak to strong path. And as we discussed already in chapter 5, the 10 defilements to be abandoned by the path of cultivation, we already know that these defilements of different strengths, they are to be abandoned with their antidotes in a gradual mode. So it's like washing a piece of clothes. The obvious dirty places will be is the easiest. The most obvious dirty things on a clothes are the easiest parts to be washed away, while the less apparent, those sticky things or the oily stuff that gets stuck or stick to the clothes is the most difficult to wash away. Or dispelling darkness with light, and if it's darkness of a huge area, it will need a very bright illumination to dispel the darkness. And if it's just a small darkness, a very apparent one, a small zone, then a small light like a candle or a torch would be fine, would be just enough to dispel the darkness. Also, there is another metaphor, which is like vaporizing water on a stone. For most of the water that is apparent to see on a stone, you can just use some medium level of fire, which will be fine, or heat, or the sunshine. They will be gone within 1 day, or maybe maximum 2. But if for those tiny water drops that are entrapped in some small places, small holes of the stone, well, that would really require a big fire or a super heat to vaporize them away. So these are a few metaphors to help us understand this corresponding counteraction between the path and the defilement. Next, let's take a look at the case for non-returners. Because here we say there are 7 types of non-returners, and we need to explain why. But the first thing I would like you to know is that no matter which type a non-returner belongs in this case, which case they belong to whatsoever, they must have, such noble beings, they must have obtained this fruit of non-returner in Kamadhatu. Because otherwise they have not abandoned the 9 defilements in Kamadhatu, they will not be able to leave or to transcend the Kamadhatu. So that's why they must have obtained this non-returner, this noble fruit in Kamadhatu. And only after that will they have an opportunity to be reborn in the form realm or the formless realm, or maybe they don't get reborn in the upper 2 realms, but they stay in Kamadhatu and obtain the fruit of Arhat, and Arhathood, become an Arhat, and then enter in Nirvana. Yeah. So that's why we have different kinds of non-returners. So the first 5 types of non-returners, they go to Rupadhatu. They will be reborn in the form realm where they're going to continue the cultivation of the past before they enter into Nirvana. So the first type are those non-returners who obtain Nirvana in the intermediate existence. That is actually on the way toward the form realm. They haven't been born yet. They are on the way. They have become arhats during the Bardo stage. So it's pretty fast. On the way towards Rupadhatu, not really born yet. And the second type are those who obtain Nirvana by being born. So as soon as they are born, as soon as these non-returners are born in the form realm, they will become arhat and they will obtain Nirvana. The third type are those who obtain Nirvana with energetic effort after being born. So means it will take some time with some effort. And the fourth type are those who obtain Nirvana without energetic effort after being born. That's another type. And we have different views regarding these 2 types, with or without energetic effort, because Substivadian scholars and Sautrantika scholars, they explain these 2 in different ways. For instance, Substivadian scholars, they would say that with energetic effort, noble beings, these non-returners with energetic effort, they are superior than those without energetic effort, because those without energetic effort, they are relatively it will take longer time for them to become an arhat or enter Nirvana, while those with energetic effort, they will spend less time before they could become a perfected being and enter Nirvana when dying. However, the Sautrantika scholars think in a different way. They say that those with energetic effort, those returners with energetic effort, because they need these energetic effort, and it will take some time for them, and they need to spend a lot of time and effort on it before they could become an arhat and enter into Nirvana. However, those non-returners born into the form realm and obtain Nirvana without energetic effort, because they are having sharp faculties, so they don't need to spend that much effort. They don't need to make that much effort before they could become an arhat and obtain Nirvana. So according to Sautrantika, those without energetic effort are actually superior than those with energetic effort. So they just have some different views. And the fifth type of non-returner are those who go higher after they get reborn into the form realm. And there are also 2 categories that belong to this case. Those who go higher can be with mixed meditation or without mixed meditation. And those with mixed meditation we have also again further, it can be further divided into 3 different situations. And the first one is called leapers. Leapers are those non-returners who die in Kamadhatu, reborn in Brahma Kaika, and after that they will die there and reborn directly in Akanishta, which is the highest, which is the summit of the form realm, and they will obtain nirvana there. In this case, they are called leapers because they have leaped over, they have jumped over actually all 14 stages between the Brahma Kaika and the Akanishta. Therefore, they are called leapers. Of course, they're relatively faster than the next two situations. So the second situation is that those non-returners are called half leapers. And what do? They die in Brahma Kaika. After that, they will leap over one or two or maybe three or even more heavens, but not all those stages between Kamakaika and Akanishka. At max, they will jump over 13 stages before they get reborn in Akanishta and become an Arhat and obtain Nirvana. That they are called, so for this kind of situation, those non-returners are called half leapers. And then there is the third situation when these non-returners will be called die everywhere. It means after they got reborn in Brahma Kaika, they will not jump even one stage before they reach Akanishta. They will transmigrate through all 16 heavens up to the Akanishta. Then they will obtain Nirvana from there. These are the three situations that belong to the category with mixed meditation. And if those non-returners are without mixed meditation, they will transmigrate through all the 11 heavens below the pure abodes, because we have 11 abodes for both ordinaries and noble beings, and above these 11 we have 5 places, 5 stages in the 4th dhyana, which are only for noble beings, and they are called the pure abodes. So they will transmigrate through all the 11 heavens before the pure abodes, and after that they will not continue. They will not be born into those pure abodes. Instead, they will be reborn in the formless realm and all the way up to the Bhavagra, and they will obtain Nirvana. They will become an Arhat and then obtain Nirvana in Bhavagra. So these are different categories and situations for those non-returners that go to the form realm after they leave Rupadhatu, after they leave Kamadhatu, after they leave the realm of desire. And the sixth type of non-returner are those who would be reborn into the formless realm when they die in the realm of desire. And then there are 4 types as well. The first are those who obtain Nirvana by being born into the formless realm. The second are those who obtain Nirvana with effort, and the third are without effort, and the fourth are those who go higher, all the way up to Bhavagra, before they become an Arhat and obtain Nirvana. So you see, there are 5 categories that belong to those who go to Upadhatu, but there are only 4 categories that belong to those non-returners who go to the formless realm. Why? Because there is no intermediate existence for rebirth in the formless realm. Therefore, those who obtain Nirvana in the intermediate existence, in this case, this kind of situation would only be applicable to those non-returners who are on their way to the form realm, not on their way to the formless realm. So that's the 6th type of non-returner. And then the last type of non-returner can be called are those who obtain Nirvana here. Here means the realm of desire. They obtain the fruit of non-returner here in Kamadhatu, and before they die, they will further become an arhat here, and they will enter nirvana from here. So they're not going to be reborn or transmigrate through the higher realms. So they will obtain nirvana, this place and this life, in the realm of desire. So this is a very special kind, of course. These are the noble beings with the sharpest faculties. Both Shariputra and Madhyayana, these two of the best disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha, were both of this kind. They entered nirvana. They entered nirvana as arhats in this life, in Kamadhatu. Okay, so this is so we have explained the path of cultivation. We have also explained cases with those practitioners who proceed successfully, especially a stream enterer with the max 7 rebirths, and then 7 types of non-returners. After break, we will continue to learn practitioners who are the approacher of the perfected being, or those who obtain the fruit of perfected being, become an arhat. And also we'll explain those in training and beyond training, and how can one call a noble being complete, or if they are incomplete, how do we judge? What is the criteria? And in the end, we'll talk about the 37 factors conducted to enlightenment. We'll come to that.